What is up, guys? Tyson Dela Cruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. CNN did a study with 10 and 11-year-olds to weigh in on both presidential candidates, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. And the responses are really interesting.
What's the first word that pops into your head when you hear the name Kamala Harris?
Liar.
The reason why I put that footage at the beginning of this video is just to show you how much of an influence parents obviously have on their kids, specifically pertaining to their vocabulary and viewpoints when they're 10 and 11 years old.
What's the first word that pops into your head when you hear Donald Trump?
Pure evil.
Which one do you think is more selfish?
Like selfish, probably her.
Kamala Harris?
Yeah, because girls are a little bit dramatic sometimes.
Donald Trump, he's given his life and his heart.
She even shook hands with Mr. Trump to greet him before the debate, started the debate, which is pretty kind of when you're going against your opponent.
The study was designed by psychologist Ashley Landrum and political scientist Shanto Iyengar. One thing that the kids talked a lot about, former President Trump's legal issues.
How much do you like Donald Trump using that scale?
Probably Donald Trump probably hates me for doing this, so
You really don't like Donald Trump?
I mean, come on, he went to jail.
To be clear, while Trump was booked and released from jail, he didn't spend time behind bars. 32% of all students brought up the former president's legal issues. In general, kids who said they'd support Donald Trump did not see his legal problems as a disqualifier.
Hi, how are you doing today?
This was in May before Trump's conviction.
Should he be president again still?
Yeah, we can say, for example, JFK. He cheated on his wife, but people still loved him. George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, both slave owners. Being a slave owner is really bad. It's a really bad thing. But they still had 2 terms. So I think even though Trump has done bad stuff, he still deserves to run for president.
And I got to mention this kid right here is very intelligent. Speaking about JFK and speaking about George Washington is not about race or gender. It's about who can run the country the best.
Just curious.
And now?
Which one of these 2 candidates do you think is more likely to do bad things?
Oh, convicted felon against a liar. Oh, who do I pick? Let's say Trump because he's a convicted felon.
Do you think it's okay for somebody who is a convicted felon to become president of the United States?
Yes.
Many children were also very aware of the first assassination attempt on former President Trump.
And which one do you think is tougher?
Donald
Trump?
Because he did survive a gunshot.
And does anything else make him tougher, do you think? Or was it mostly his reaction to that?
He's also pretty brave.
And why would something like that happen?
There's a lot of cruel people in the world and stuff. And whenever something like that happens to them, they'll want to take it out on somebody else that they don't like.
Yeah. And how does that make you feel?
Kind of nervous because and you never know, one day it could be you.
Now, obviously, kids do not have a proper political viewpoint, but you got to ask yourself, where are some of their political viewpoints coming from? They're coming from their parents. And we see that in this study that they asked kids from both red and blue states, and they had very different opinions on the opposing candidate.
It'd be good for us to have a Black woman as president for the first time in history.
Yeah.
But my vote's kind of still on Trump.
Overall, the biggest finding, the children in the study were polarized, with what researchers call more extreme responses from the blue state kids than the red state kids.
Donald Trump, he did bad things. He's like Hitler.
He only wanted to be president so that he can just control everybody. Trump is supporting January 6th now. I remember that January 6th was a bunch of Republicans believing Trump. I feel like they thought Trump was a god. People got arrested. I think one officer died afterwards. That was a big day.
The study found that these Democrat-leaning kids were about 9 times more likely to express negative emotions about Donald Trump than Republican-leaning kids were about Kamala Harris. Why might that be? Psychologist Ashley Landrum has some ideas.
So Donald Trump is a very polarizing figure, and it's very possible that the kids are reacting to their parents reacting to Donald Trump being a very different kind of political figure than what we've seen before. So do the red state kids hold as strong of attitudes? Well, not when we're talking about Kamala Harris. In part, that could be because they don't know that much about her.
Landrum was also curious about how kids saw their peers in the political divide.
So, do you think that the kids that live in those two houses would be friends with each other?
They can.
They can?
There's no law breaking that.
It doesn't matter if you are different by skin color, or it doesn't matter if you are different by people. You can still be friends.
The study found that Republican-leaning kids were more open to visiting a Democrat-supporting household. The Democrat-leaning kids were about 5 times more likely to say they would not want to go to a pro-Trump house.
Would they be okay with you going over to somebody's house who is really supportive of President Trump?
No,
No. And why not?
because they know that he is not like black people, so they will not be happy to see me.
Would your family let you go over to somebody's house who's really supportive of Donald Trump?
No.
No, they wouldn't.
No,
And why not?
because like my mom and dad don't like Donald Trump at all, not a single bit.
Would you be okay going over to somebody's house whose family really likes Kamala Harris?
I think it'd be fine. It's just about the personality of the people.
Would your family be okay if you went over to somebody's house who really liked Donald Trump?
If I want to be real over here, so if I just went over there, I imagine be a good old argument or a fight, maybe like a food fight or something.
And as you can see, the kids in the red states were more favorable to just simply have conversations and communicate with individuals that parents might be voting for Kamala Harris. And we ask ourselves, where is this rhetoric coming from? Where is this like threatening anger rhetoric coming from? It's not coming from the right. It's not coming from Republicans. It's coming from the left. It's coming from the Democrats. Democrats are the ones pushing this threatening rhetoric. And this is what we plainly see with the kids saying that their parents would be upset if they went to an individual's house that supported Donald Trump versus supporting Kamala Harris. This was a very eye-opening study to me because it really truly shows where the negative, threatening, violent rhetoric is coming from. It's coming from the left.
What's the first word that pops into your head when you hear the name Kamala Harris?
Liar.
So let me know what you guys think about this. Drop your comments down below, smash the like button, share, subscribe, and as always, I'll catch you on the next one.